Hi everyone, it's Kelsey again. I am here to present to you Activity 4 of the HAEA Legislative Advocacy Training. So Activity 4 is about relating to the issues that we've talked about so far. Why are these issues important? Now that you have learned about some of the pressing issues facing the HAE community, it's important to think about why these issues are important and how they relate to you and your experiences. This activity will ask you to think critically about your personal experiences and the issues you learned about last week. The three key issues are the United for Charitable Assistance and Safe Step Act and the National Institute of Health Rare Disease Funding. Let's get started. And if you have any questions, you can always email Lisa with the HAEA. Okay, so here is the form, and again, the link to the form will be in the description of the YouTube video for you to click on and fill out. So we'll just go through all these questions, and I'll talk about my experience for some of these issues. So if you, there's some links here for to learn more about the PSI and the Assistance Fund. If you need some refreshers for those and information about those. So United for Charitable Assistance. This first question is, do you or your family use charitable assistance programs like PSI or the Assistance Fund to help pay for medical expenses? And so I talked to my mom a little bit before this because she is the one who handled my insurance and all that stuff for a long time because I'm only 22, so I'm still on my parents' insurance. My parents did for a while actually use charitable assistance through PSI, and there are all sorts of different types of assistance that you can get. So premium assistance, which is what my parents used, essentially helps pay the monthly cost of healthcare insurance, and they were just reimbursed for that amount, and it was extremely helpful. There's also copay assistance. So sometimes when you go to the hospital or to the doctor, there's a copay that you have to pay, and these charitable assistance programs help with that. There's travel assistance, and then also ancillary support, which helps pay deductibles and other healthcare bills. So my parents used, like I said, the premium assistance, and that was really helpful for us for a lot of reasons. So, you know, you might want to go ask your parents or your family members the answer to some of these questions before filling this out. It might help you a little bit. So this one is, if the answer to the first question was no, has your family used these services in the past? I am not currently using charitable assistance, but we did for quite a while when I was a little bit younger. If you or someone you know uses these services to help cover the cost of healthcare, think critically about the value that these services have for you and your family. Why is this service important for people with rare chronic health conditions? If you don't know the answers to this question, ask a family member who is more involved in your family's healthcare management to assist. And so when I was talking to my mom and my dad about the premium assistance, for them it was a big help because it was just one less thing that they had to worry about when I was younger. It was, you know, if something major happened medically to me, that they had that kind of as a cushion if they needed to reallocate that money to something else. And I know what it was, paying for healthcare was pretty burdensome on my family, and the premium assistance was extremely helpful. And it's helpful to a lot of people with HAE and a lot of people who have other sorts of conditions. And it's a really, really great program, and they offer all sorts of different types of assistance. Um, and I really recommend looking into it. It's been a great help in my life, and I plan to, when I'm on my own insurance, also inquire about it. And the second issue, which I have even more experience with, is the Safe Step Act. So this first question here is to think about your experiences finding a medication that works well for you. Did you ever receive an insurance denial for your medication? And the answer for me is yes. I think almost every medication that I've submitted to insurance has been denied by insurance at first. So this next question is, if you've ever been denied insurance coverage for a medication, do you know why you were denied? And so for me, I have HAE with normal C1 inhibitor. So that kind of put a lot of different barriers for me getting insurance approval for medications. So like I said before, a lot of, or most of the medications that I've been on were denied immediately by insurance. And then we had to go through a 6 to 8 month appeal process just because at the time I didn't have any way to, there was no blood test, there was no marker for my diagnosis. So insurance would deny medication due to, medications not being medically necessary and wanting to try other cheaper options first. Have you been forced, so this next question, have you been forced to try and fail on a medication that wasn't your first choice? If yes, what was this experience like? I have not been necessarily forced to try and fail, but while we were going through the appeal process, I didn't have access to the medication that my doctor and my parents and I had agreed upon. So I was using either an old medication or something in replacement for that. And during that period waiting for these medications, I was in high school, and I was, I wasn't on the medication that my doctor thought was best for me. And my health wasn't as good. I wasn't able to go to school or attend dance practices regularly, and it really affected me negatively. Luckily, I haven't had as much trouble with that recently, but I'm in law school right now, and if I was forced to try and fail on a medication, it could really substantially affect my life and my education. If you haven't been denied access to medication, write about why it's so important for you and your physician to come up with a plan that works well for you. How has this successful plan impacted your life? And I think a really important thing to remember, especially with our doctors who are familiar with HAE, is that they kind of build safe step plans, into their practice, and they know about this disease and they know what's best medically. And basically what, as you guys know, what the Safe Step Act does is make sure that the plan that you and your doctor agree upon is the plan that you're sticking to, and that the insurance company isn't making medical decisions for you. And sticking with the plan that you and your physician and your family have talked about is so essential, because it can have a huge impact in your life if you're not using effective medications just because they're less expensive. So the last issue is the National Institute of Health rare disease funding. And then question is, how has your life been impacted by advancements in HAE research? I know that when I was first diagnosed almost 10 years ago, that the amount of medication was a lot smaller than it is today. My options were limited, and that was due to now, because of all this research and funding, my life is a lot simpler and a lot easier. Um, and with continued funding, it's only going to get better and it's only going to get easier, and it's going to help our generation a lot. Us, the younger people with HAE. Um, so advocating for rare disease funding from the NIH is essential, and it's critical for us in the future to be able to live normal lives. So that's about all I have for you guys today. Thanks for listening.